Hello everybody, it's Verda here, and today we're going to be benchmarking Wuthering Waves. I hope I'm pronouncing the name of this game right, but we're going to be playing it today with the GTX 1650 GDDR6 edition of the graphics card with an Intel Core i7-4790K with 16GB of DDR3 1600MHz RAM. I have the latest Nvidia drivers installed for this, so let's go ahead and jump into the game and see how it runs here. So the settings that I'm playing with here, I am on the advanced preset, but I have changed some things. Advanced is essentially maximum settings in this game. So we are playing at 1080p in full screen here, because I'm sure most of you with a graphics card like this are playing at 1080p. So we're not going to test 1440p here. It actually does have an FPS cap of 60. Not sure if I can go in the config and change that. We are playing with everything else on the maximum. I have turned FSR off because it had this on by default. And it doesn't say what FSR setting that is, but it had it turned on and there was no quality presets or anything. And I've also gone ahead and turned motion blur off and VSync off, even though VSync won't really do too much here for us. But yeah, motion blur is off as well. So let's jump on in and see how it runs here on such a budget PC. So here at the maximum settings in the game, essentially at 1080p, you can see that we are pretty much GPU bound for the most part. Now this CPU sometimes does actually make it so that we are not fully utilizing the wait, is this a range character? Oh, I haven't used this character yet, I've just got it, but it does look like that we're actually going to be pretty much GPU bound here at about 50 to 60 FPS, and realistically it is dropping down to around 55 FPS when we're actually in fights here. So it is dropping frames every now and then, but it's also because the CPU is not too powerful as well. So most likely if you have a little bit better of a CPU, your 1% lows will be quite a bit better and your average FPS will be a bit better. But as you can see, you can play this game at pretty much maximum settings almost completely fine. I would probably just lower my settings down a little bit, you know, if we are going to be if you are GPU bound a little bit with the GPU like this, on the maximum settings, just lower some of them a little bit more. It is a bit surprising considering it is a mobile game, but I'm assuming that the mobile game plays with, you know, worse graphics essentially than the PC version. I don't know too much about this game since it is so new. And also, I don't play this kind of a game usually, so yeah, my knowledge in this kind of a game is very limited, guys. So do bear that in mind. And this is my first time really playing it. I was actually just in the main hub area. I just got there, and it was just bombarding me with endless dialogue, and I was like, I gotta get out of there. So I just TP'd out because obviously I can't benchmark inside of the city. And performance in the city is a little bit worse. You play it around 50 FPS all of the time when I was in the main city that I was just introduced into. But then again, in the city, you're just running around doing dialogue and stuff. It's not combat, so it doesn't really matter, right? But when you're out in the open world, that's when it matters what kind of performance you're going to get. In terms of RAM usage, totally fine. It's using about 8 gigs, so if you're playing with an 8 gig laptop or something, you know, you can probably expect it will play pretty good with that much RAM. I think 8 gigs is pretty much the lowest you want to be playing at, of course, in any kind of gaming when it comes to laptops. And ideally, if you're playing on PC, you should have no less than 16 gigs of RAM these days, in all honesty. And there's even an argument to be made about 32 gigabytes of RAM at minimum, because a lot of games are using a ton of RAM these days, for sure. I'm just using all of my characters just to get all their spells off cooldown, or at least try get all their spells off cooldown. One with the sound. There we go. We have spells ready. I'm just spamming everything. As you can see, for our actual VRAM, we're only using just under 2 gigs. Now, it has got 2.7 gigs allocated to the game, but we're only using 2 gigs of it, or just under 2 gigs of it here to play ultra 1080p or maximum 1080p. Another thing that I do want to mention is you absolutely need to play this game on an SSD. You cannot play this game on a hard drive. I installed it on a hard drive at first just to see what it would run like, and it doesn't work, guys. It's just a stuttery mess. It's really poor performance on a hard drive. It's pretty much unplayable, guys, and I'm not even exaggerating. Like, it genuinely is just complete trash on a hard drive. Don't even try it. Oh, that's a healing spell. Okay. I have not read anything. Basically, I've just jumped into the game. Average FPS during all of this combat has been around 55 FPS. You can see we are dropping frames sometimes, but it is because of the CPU. So yeah, if you've got a more modern CPU, your averages will be better, and also your 1% lows will be better. But when we're actually in combat like this, as you can see, we are GPU bound pretty much all of the time here. So there is that, guys. The combat's okay. You know, there's only so much they can do with it being a mobile game as well. You can definitely tell it's a mobile game. Like, I didn't even know at first that it was a mobile game, and I loaded it up and I was like, this is probably on mobile. And I googled it, and yes, it's on mobile. I mean, it's usually fairly obvious, right? Especially with the 60 FPS cap, or with the FPS cap of whatever your display refresh rate is, essentially. You know, that's usually a pretty given sign that you're playing on a mobile game. But just because it's a mobile game doesn't mean it's bad. You know, it's got a lot of players right now. It's obviously a brand new game, so people are figuring out if it's worth playing or not. This is not my cup of tea of a game. I wouldn't, you know, go out of my way and play this. It's not my style of game, but I can certainly see the audience that this appeals to. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of people that would happily enjoy this game, and you know, if you enjoy the game, more power to you. It's whatever, right? Play what you want to play. Doesn't really matter what other people think, as long as you're enjoying the game that you play. But yeah, it's not for me. Certainly not for me. But I can see the appeal. I mean, the combat's not bad. It doesn't feel bad, guys. But I'm not an expert in these games, so I don't really have a say in if this is a good game or not for its genre, right? But what I can say is the performance is decent. To be able to play at maximum settings, the game looks really good here at 1080p with a really budget end, you know, GPU and CPU, and also for a very small amount of RAM as well that it's using. I can say that the performance is very good here. That's what I can say. I do have a say on that. That's pretty much the only thing I have a say on in this game. Other than how it feels to me, because yeah, I don't know the genre too well. Oh, and also I can say that you need to play it on an SSD. From my testing, absolutely need an SSD. So just for the sake of it, I've gone ahead and put the graphics quality to medium, and I'm just going to quickly go ahead and have a look at my settings. I put the frame rate back up to 60 because on medium it actually lowered my frame rate to 45, which for mobiles probably fine, but obviously on PC you don't want to be playing at 45 FPS if possible. Just looking at what it's turned on, it turned FSR on. I believe this is FSR. I don't know any other setting that this could be, and you know, if it was something else, I'm sure they'd tell you what this is. This is clearly FSR, so I'm going to turn that off because we want to play at native 1080p. There's no reason for us not to. This is probably a very good option for, you know, iGPUs or integrated graphics cards in laptops and stuff, or integrated graphics in laptops and things like that. I might test this out with the i7-4790K by itself with its integrated graphics, because it's not very powerful. The integrated graphics in this CPU are not very powerful. Obviously, it's a very old CPU at this point, but well, I might test what it's like here. Maybe be able to play it like 720p or something. So I'm not sure. Maybe we will try it. Let me know if you want me to try that. Motion blur, that's getting turned off, and we'll turn VSync off, even though it's not going to make a difference because it caps it at 60. But we'll see what medium is like here. So as you can see, medium settings is not that much less intensive. Game looks pretty similar. I can't see too much of a difference here at 1080p. It'd probably be more obvious to me at 1440, but realistically, most people are not playing 1440p with a card like this. I'm not saying that you couldn't play 1440p with a card like this, because I'm sure you certainly could. You know, especially if you play on lower settings in this game. That's one thing that I think like cards like this are okay for, is games like this at 1440p. Because they're not intensive, so you know, you can technically play a game like this. Whoa, I just did some sort of combo that I've never seen before. Then again, I've only been playing for like an hour, so I've not played much, and also probably about 40 minutes of that has actually been dialogue. It's my one critique of the game. It's too much dialogue, guys. They need to really tone it down with the dialogue in this game. It's insane. I can see if you're invested in the story and stuff, it's nice. But for me personally, I just want to benchmark it. I don't want the story. There we go. Nice. It's alright, we can tank. We can tank, we don't need to dodge.
One with the sound.
Get him! Boom! Nice. Yeah, combat for a mobile game is it's not terrible. I mean, that looks badass. I've noticed that, you know, Asian games, they love their particles, you know. I'm not sure where the developers for this game are from. I'm not sure. I'm not too familiar with the game at all, to be completely honest with you. So I'm not sure, but yeah, Asian developers usually love particle effects, and it's no exception here. No exception, to the point of where you can't see what the hell you're doing, essentially. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Do let me know what you think of this game so far. I might give it a go, you know. Not something I would normally play, but I might give it a go. I might stream it. So yeah, do check my stream if you are interested in any more information with this game, if I do end up streaming it. So yeah, but for now, guys, that's gonna do it for today. Thanks for checking out the video, like I've said previously. Like the video if you found this video useful in any way. Subscribe if you haven't already for future benchmarks. And until next time, guys, take care of yourselves and goodbye for now. Let me just go over and murder this thing first. This rock-looking creature. Might as well just charge at him. Come here, you. You know what? Let's drop an ult on him. Oh, he's immune. He's still immune. That's crazy. He's so damage resistant. Damage resist this, son. There we go. He can't resist that one.
Swift and resolute.
You got a problem?
One with the sounds. Strike from the shadows.
Oh, it looks like they help each other if they're the same kind of enemy. Anyway, that's gonna do it. Take care, guys.